Hello everyone and welcome back to Full House Sports here with myself, Charlie. Right, Saturday nights used to be for big fight nights, and yet we are seeing, I think in my opinion, the downfall of the British boxing fight night. I don't want to call it a crisis. I think crisis is a really strong word because we've still got fighters out there, and we've still got fight nights coming up. We've got Eubank Ben, we've got Parker Wardley, we've got Buatsi Parker, which is a card that I think is going really under the radar. We've obviously got Fraser Clark, GBTKV, boxing back on the BBC. I think that's massive for the sport in this country. But it does feel like we are now, as British box fans, being starved of the big fight night. And I think we always knew this would happen with Saudi Arabian investment because, let's face it, Turki Al-Sheikh is not going to invest lots and lots of money to then have the big fights not take place on Saudi soil. That's just not going to happen. We all know why they're doing it. There's no secret as to why it's happening. Yes, potentially he is a big boxing fan, but also there is an element of Saudi soft power involved. And that's a controversial statement, I know, and maybe one that would get me in trouble, but we know why they're investing this money. They've not just gone into boxing because they do it for the love of boxing. There's also their own gains there as well. And I'm not a Saudi hater. I think what he's done in terms of bringing the big fights together, he's done what no other promoters were doing, and now you can't really fault him for that. But it does lead me to this sort of route of, I feel like as British boxing fans, and someone who is a fight night going fan, and said this a couple of years ago when this investment was first started happening, I did sort of see this coming. And as someone who loves going to big fight nights, has been to quite a few, love the atmosphere, love the build-up, love the whole feel of it. We're now at a stage where we're sort of starved of it. And I think Anthony Crolla said it the other week, and there was another guy on social media, on Twitter, or X, sorry, I keep doing that, who said it as well. And he was talking, and he said, you know, December, you used to always have a big Matchroom pay-per-view. Now, whether you believe that the reason these aren't happening anymore is because they've moved from Sky to DAZN, I certainly think that's part of it. I've always said, and I will continue to say this, fights just felt bigger on Sky. You had the whole build-up through the week. You had the gloves are off. You had the inside the ropes or between the ropes. You had ringside on the Thursday. It was just the whole hype. And it was, yes, to an extent, it was rammed down your throat. But like half-time of the Premier League, if you were watching it, even on the Saturday, if you were watching the Saturday night football, and at half-time you'd get them saying, oh, this is now on. Now on, viewers, you can go to this link and buy it. It just felt much bigger. Because DAZN is now pretty much boxing dedicated, I mean, along with Serie A and a couple of other events, you are, I think, seeing that there's not that feel. There's not that big fight feel. They're heavily reliant now on social media, which isn't a bad thing, because we all consume so much social media nowadays. But I do think it's seeing a lessening of people looking into it. I know I read this morning that Eddie Hearn's apparently looking at selling Matchroom. I think he's probably looking at getting out at the right time. Someone said with Matchroom now, they've not really got the big British stars now. AJ, we don't know how long he's got left in him. I did a video on him the other day. Feel free to check that out. Katie Taylor's coming to the end as well. She's another big star, but we don't know how long she's got left in her, how many fights she's got left in her. And really, the young British talent is either dotted round with Frank Warren or, I'll give him credit where credit's due, Boxer. People can slate Ben Shalom as much as you want, but when you look at Ben Whitaker, for example, if he was at Matchroom, he'd have gone to Matchroom straight away a few years ago. He's not now. Obviously, as well, you can look at guys like Moses Itauma. Nick Ball, even, who's not the oldest of fighters, is signed with Queensberry. He's not gone to Matchroom. And actually, we're seeing a bit of an influx of fighters leaving Matchroom to go to Queensberry, which is something else that wasn't happening a few years ago. I'm not going to slate Eddie Hearn off because what he's done for British boxing is massive, and that shouldn't be understated. Whether you agree with the way he does things, whether you believe he's been the silver spoon, that's not for me to discuss in terms of what the subject of this video is. But I do think we are sort of seeing the downfall of the big British fight. Like, I saw this morning Callum Smith is rumoured to be fighting David Morrell, but they're going to wait until that sort of Saudi card. And I think Anthony Crolla said it, and he hit the nail on the head. These stacked cards in Saudi Arabia, yes, they're great, but you take pretty much all of them fights on them cards, they're all a headliner at a UK arena, and they all sell out a UK arena. Because just the way we are, just the way we consume boxing, the way we love a big fight night. That's the way things are. It is a real shame, I think. I think it's a real shame what is happening, because, as well, we've now only got one world champion. Two, I guess, if you count Lewis Crocker. But, again, that's not something I want to get into. But two, if you count Lewis Crocker. I mean, I'm sure he'd want to be counted at it. So let's say we've got two world champions. That's it. Now, I know that a lot of the time we were built on the heavyweights who Usyk's dominated, and we still got a great heavyweight roster. But aside from that, you know, we've got the prospects who are coming through. Yes, Mosetan will be a world champion. Yes, Nick Ball, I think, has done fantastic and will be in big fights. There's countless others as well who I think will be in big fights as their careers develop. Dalton Smith, for example, has got a real... I know he's got a tough fight against Matias, but he's one who I think will be a world champion. Adam Azib as well. But it does feel like we're in a bit of a lull, I guess. And like I say, it's hard to know where the blame lies. You know, you could say the blame lies with the Saudis, but then without the Saudis, the mega fights wouldn't have happened. So you got to take the rough for the smooth. You could blame Eddie Hearn, but then I just get the sense with Eddie Hearn, he might not be that interested anymore. And I think he's looking at selling Matchroom. Rumours with Turki Al-Ashik. Turki Al-Ashik's now got shares in all the major boxing promotions. I just worry for British boxing. I do a little bit, and I think it's a real shame because we're not being given these big fight nights consistently. Like, this month felt barren. Like, I actually got me in the mindset. I kept thinking there'll be a big fight. There's a big fight. Is there a big fight this weekend? No. The next biggest one, like I say, is probably Dave Allen at Matchroom. I know there's Nathaniel Collins tonight, who I do like as a fighter, but is that it's not a headline fight. But I feel like the cards are being diluted because of the Saudi investment, because any remotely good fight is being saved for a big Saudi event. Like, so a few years ago, Artur Beterbiev came over here and fought Anthony Yarde. That would never happen in Britain now. Never. That would be straight over in Saudi Arabia. Never happen. There's countless other examples I can think of that just wouldn't have happened in this country that have happened over in Saudi Arabia. So I wonder, are we... I don't want to use the term crisis, but I do feel like we are sort of faded out. Years ago, big names. I remember Terence Crawford doing an interview saying that he wanted to fight Errol Spence in the UK because of the atmosphere. He was like, the UK fight fans, they know it. Mike Tyson spoke about it. Loads of legends have spoke about how UK fight nights are just different. But because of the influx of money, we can't offer the purses to these superstars that His Excellency can offer. We're unable to get them. And I think that's a terrible shame. But anyway, guys, let us know what you guys think. Like I say, some people will say, oh, you're moaning too much. But as a fight night going fan, I do feel like we're being robbed now a little bit. But anyways, guys, let us know what you think. Have a great day. As always, please like the content. Please subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. Thank you.